So the next update for Wild Hearts is just around the corner and it lands on April 6th, which is awesome and pretty close, as we did just recently get a content update that brought the Grimstalker into the game, which we were quite impressed by. And just like that patch, this next one brings in a new Kemono to fight, but not a subspecies this time, it's a brand new one with a bunch of new additions along with it. And thanks to Koei Tecmo and EA, we were actually able to get an early hands-on to the update, so we could experience some of these changes and new things and be more informed when the actual update drops. So let's go through them and show you guys all of the new goodies that this update has to offer. And you can support us and the video by hitting that like button because it really does help, and subscribe so you don't miss out on the next update from us here on the channel. I'd love to know in general for hunting games, when these free title updates drop, do you find yourself disappointed if the new monster is a subspecies rather than a completely brand new monster? Tell us what you think down below. But within this update, there are some major additions in the patch itself. Not only do we get a new Kemono called the Murakumo, it also introduces a brand new Karakuri and a new endgame system that rewards you for hunting the volatile Kemono. As with the last update, there's also new weapons and a whole new armor set to craft, and we'll take a look at those a little later on, as they do have some skills that may be interesting to some of you. But let's start it off by talking about the brand new Kemono, the Murakumo. First off, if you found the Grimstalker in the previous update a bit too easy, then you might be happy to hear that the Murakumo definitely isn't quite as much of a pushover as the Grimstalker, and does have a few attacks that will definitely catch you off guard. The Kemono itself is a mix of a fox and a sakura tree, and that's probably the best way that we can describe it to you. It has a variety of different attacks that shoot projectiles of sakura leaves towards you as the player, and it's also able to float or kind of fly on a sakura leaf cloud, which does look like something straight out of Dragon Ball Z with the Nimbus Cloud. Here's what the official blog has to say about this one. Strange winds swirl the sakura blooms, which fail to fall even long after spring has passed. When rumors spread of this eerie sight, parents warn their children to keep their distance, knowing that should you wander too close, the Vulpine Fiend appears and spirits you away. For it is no mere wind, it is the Murakumo. This Karakuri's plethora of petal manipulating attacks are a real menace. It courses through the air on platforms made of sakura blooms. But there is one thing that will make this fight a lot easier for you, and that is the new introduction of the spinning top Karakuri. This fusion Karakuri is essentially a big Beyblade that, if it connects to the monster during certain attacks, will actually leave it knocked over and vulnerable, which is quite similar to the reaction that you get from certain monsters when they hit the Bulwark fusion Karakuri. To unlock this, you will need the Torch and Glider basic Karakuri equipped to your hunter, so that you are able to get the inspiration during the fight itself, so make sure to bring those two. During this fight, we highly recommend using chain traps and harpoons as usual, but once you've unlocked the spinning top through your inspiration, it's also good to spam these, as they will bounce around hitting the monster multiple times for decent damage, which will also sometimes stagger it and give you a bigger window to attack it. So use those spinning tops. The monster is also weak to fire, both the status and elemental type, and since you should have the torch equipped for the spinning tops, you can make use of this to add fire to your weapons as well. Or if you farmed the Grimstalker from the previous update, it does have a very good fire weapon too, so definitely try and use that if you have it. These will help you trigger the fire status, which gives you very good CC and basically leaves the monster stationary for you to deal a ton of damage to it. Of course, as the Murakumo is a new monster, it brings in new weapons and armor to craft, and the armor does have some nice skills on it if you want to do some extra status damage, but let's go through each piece so you know if it's worth crafting or not. The helmet is definitely one of the more interesting options, as it gives you the Entangler with 7%, which is one of the few or maybe the only armor pieces in the game that actually gives you a status effect on your armor and not on your weapon or your talismans. It also has the Mortality Water 10%, which boosts you when you heal yourself with the water, but also poisons you. Then it has Lunar Protection for 5% and Strong Arm Body for 15%, one side being human and one side being Karakuri, so whichever path you take you will get one of those two skills. Then for the body you have Blackout Recovery, Fatal Foray, Rally Ironclad, and Time Changer, but this piece of armor will synergize with the headpiece of armor with that Mortality Water, because when you're suffering from a status effect, Fatal Foray will boost your attack. For the gloves you have Blackout Recovery, Karakuri Coordination Remedy, and Destiny, while for the legs you have Karakuri Coordination Remedy again, Vengeance, Tiger's Den, and Resurrection. Finally, on the legs, it's another interesting piece with more Entangler on it, another armor piece that gives you status, although this time only at 3%. You also have Blackout Recovery, Resurrection, and Strong Arm Protection on this piece too. So while the head and legs have some nice skills on them and the interesting effect of the Entangler status, the rest of them are a little lackluster compared to the Grimstalker's set before, but if you find a nice use for some of these skills that we are dismissing, tell us in the comments down below. Along with this, there are 2 new weapons to craft, and we're going to take a look at the Claw Blades as we main these within the game. For this one, you can see that it builds off the bottom left of the tree, unlike the Grimstalker, which had one on the left and the right side. The first weapon for us, you can see, has elemental damage and Entangler 10%, so it will definitely synergize with that armor set. But if you upgrade it to the final slot, then you lose your status and your element for a higher raw attack version that has Turbulence Fury, Strong Arm Thread, and Thread File. The last major addition to this patch, though, is the introduction of the Limit Break system, which allows you to upgrade certain stats on your weapon and armor sets using cores that you can only get by defeating Volatile Kemono. It seems that there are a bunch of different variety of cores depending on which area you fight the Volatile Kemono in, and those will be needed to upgrade the different weapons and armors, so there's a lot of farming to do on the Volatile Kemono here if you want to upgrade your whole set and weapon. But I know a lot of you are actually going to be quite happy about this because it gives you a good reason to hunt and farm Volatile Kemono now. It's a direct way to increase your power and armor, so it's definitely worth doing if you want to get stronger within the game. It does seem that the upgrades you get seem to be relatively small stat increases, but it does look like you can do it multiple times, at least on your armor set per piece. We'll definitely test this out more once the patch is released and live, but for now we wanted to let you see it in this early version so you kind of get a gist for how it works. We do also know that on the 20th of April, we will get another update with a deeply volatile Kemono called the Death Haze Gloom Beak. So content is continuing to drop for Wild Hearts, which is always a good thing and something that we love to see. And the 2 videos on screen now, we think you'll really enjoy if you did enjoy this one. Of course, you don't have to watch them, but if you did enjoy this video, you're probably going to like these ones too. And then tell us what you think after watching in the comments down below.